Well, the average Canadian post-secondary student graduates with, get this, more than $27,000 in debt. That's just for an undergrad. And while it can be an expensive few years, there are some steps that students can take to set themselves up for success. Finance expert David Lester is with us in studio. He's got some tips on how to take on less student debt and pay it off even faster. This is all good information to have. First of all, David, what can they do right now to set themselves up to have as little debt as possible?
Well, the thing with student debt is it's like the reverse of bunnies. You don't want it to multiply, to use a little Easter pun.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the best way to get out of school without debt is to look for like grants and scholarships, even through, when I was in curling, I used to be a really good curler, and they'd have scholarships for curlers, and grants for curlers. So look and find any kind of scholarship, any kind of grant, and make sure that's your first step to come out of school with as little debt as you possibly can.
Second step for making sure that by the time you're done school, you're not sitting at that $27,000.
Yeah, exactly. So if you do have to get a debt, if you do have to take on student debt, there's good debt and then there's bad debt. Obviously, the best debt is government loans because you're able to write off the interest, which really helps after school. You'll make it a little bit cheaper, and the interest rates are a little bit cheaper. The student loans that the banks give you, you can't actually write off the interest, but they do give you about 6 months or a year to make full payments afterwards, just for your payments to start. So you can get a job and get yourself established before you start having to pay back those big payments. So you really want to make sure that you get the right kind of loan. Something like a credit card or a normal line of credit, you can't write off the interest, and you want to stay away from those kind of debt pieces.
Getting a part-time job, not always easy when you're a student and you've got a full course load, but if you can, obviously it's going to help you graduate with less debt.
That's right. And this one really helped me. So a lot of times you just get whatever job you can, because you want to make those payments and really be able to go and, to get some cash flow when you're at school. But look for a job that's going to help you when you graduate. So you look 4 years down the road and really look at something that you want to go into. It's going to pay a little bit better than just like a normal hustle. And you'll have experience. You'll have 4 years of experience, and they'll probably pay you a little bit more if it's like a career. If you're just doing it part-time and you're like a junior person at an actual company, whatever industry you want to work in, it's going to give you a little bit more money and get you a job hopefully when you graduate.
How can students save a little more when they're in those 4 years? Because there's a lot of, you've got to pay for food, you've got to pay for housing, and a lot of times for students, it's the first time they're doing this on their own.
For sure. And so that's where you really want to carve your relationship with money when you're a student. So you want to make sure that you are shopping for the best deal. Never take your credit card to the bar. That's like a lesson that everyone learns once. You get a card in your fresh kit, you take it to the bar once and it's maxed, and then that's it. So you want to make sure that you have these great money belief systems and start them from scratch. When you have textbooks, get used textbooks, take last year's textbooks and sell them. Be able to live a little bit further away from university, from campus. It'll be a little bit cheaper. There's always hot places where everyone wants to live, and they're really expensive because the landlord knows that they're close to school and it's their party area.
You're going to pay a premium.
You are going to pay a premium. So it's like these are the little belief systems that you really want to instill when you're young, and that you're smart with money, you're not wasting money, you're making money, and also building your credit. So the one way to use your credit card when you're a student, get one once you can, and then just put on your gym membership and your cell phone bill, set it up so each month it automatically pays, and you'll build credit but never get into debt.
Which is a smart way to use your credit card. All right, once students graduate, what can they do to try to pay off these loans as soon as possible? You don't want that debt hanging on for the next 10 years.
For sure, and it's really a big heavy anchor when you leave school. You're trying to find a job, you have a lot of stresses, so the last thing you want to have is this huge debt anchor dragging behind you. So I think a great way to do this is when you start paying rent, tack on 10% of your salary. So if you're paying $1,000 in rent, add another $100 and see it as one joint payment. So every time $1,000 goes to pay your landlord or your mortgage, $100 goes into a TFSA and it's savings. And that will start right from the get-go, right when you start paying rent, that will start that belief system of saving's a good thing, it's automatic, I can't cancel it, and go to Mexico for spring break.
This all plays into the theme that you were big on, which is financial literacy. And the earlier you start, the better.
Absolutely. And it's changing your mindset. So a lot of times you come out of school, you have all this debt, you've blown up your credit, and it has a really negative belief system. And then you're like, hey, the system is off. This isn't helping me.
Right.
If you start with a really smart belief system where you have a little bit of cash saved, you have as little debt as you can, you're a frugal shopper, you're already starting to invest, then it'll really set you up for a successful life.
All right, good to have you here. Thanks so much, David.
Thanks for having me.